Good afternoon. Welcome to Investigator News. And we popped in for breaking news and a special report. It was put out late last night, but this was done 6 days ago. But no one was really listening or paying attention, according to the FBI and DHS, Department of Homeland Security. What they're warning is extreme violence. The night of elections, going into the day after elections. They expect violence, which is already here. They said already at the polls, they're having brawls, they're having stolen mail-in ballots. Of course, they say they're even bombs. They are setting election boxes on fire. It says tracking political violence with bombs, brawls, and stolen mail-in ballots already in play. The 2024 election is shaping up to be exceptionally chaotic. The FBI and DHS has put out serious warning and is tracking incidents as they fold. National Guard not only was sent to Washington State, but Oregon, due to their boxes being set on fire, but there is rumors that all of the blue states now are with the major cities, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, even Texas, I believe, and Tucson. They're starting to load up with, and there is military vehicles being seen. So then they said it's full of National Guard. Well, you know what? I'll get to some of your guys' comments. Now, what is being said? The DHS is warning due to we have, they say, unsavory characters. I like how they said that. That are with extremist groups. They didn't say terrorist groups. They said extremist groups from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, China, and William said Africa. So, well, I know Boko Haram came over a few years ago, and also the cartel that's in this country. Now, they said we also need to be leery because we have Antifa, MS-13, the Venezuelan prison gangs. But there has also been 5 other gangs in South America that have been unloaded and brought to this country. They're also warning about those that were flown in from Afghanistan. And they are worried that these extremist groups will uprise due to, if Trump gets in office, their days are numbered. So expect a backlash of them not wanting to leave or an uprise. The other thing that the FBI is warning everybody is extremist groups here in our country. Um, and they said the militia groups, it's on the right and the left is what they just hit them up equally. Now, what I'm seeing online, even with MSN, and I went and checked out NBC and CBS and all that. They are saying basically, since there was meltdowns and horrible riots when Trump got in office last time, they're kind of expecting the same, but 100% worse. They said the college students are rallying up, and I checked a few things, folks. And what I'm seeing is they're talking in code. Last time they talked in code was, what was that guy's name that got shot or got knee to the neck, William? Someone remind me.
Ferguson?
Yeah, the one with the guy that they put their knee on.
Oh.
And we had the uprising in Michigan.
Yeah, I don't remember his name at this point.
Yeah, anyway, they said they haven't gotten, last time I seen the code, folks, the coded messages like that was back then. And Black Lives Matter, they also are put into, they're getting messages of not really an uprise, but to be ready. George Floyd, thank you, DB Wolf, George Floyd. Now, what they're seeing in Michigan is with the Muslims now, folks, the Muslims seem to be going Trump. And there are others, Muslims there, or there's extremists there, they said, that could be going against even the Muslims. George Floyd, everybody's saying George Floyd now, William, in the chat room. They know. I'm bad at names, folks, and I'm excited. You know, I had William called me and said maybe we might need to jump in, and I got a hold of a few sources and to get some of this information. The other one is the college students, folks. The college students are already roaring up. They're already getting names. They're already getting ready. They hate Trump, folks. There's no getting around it. They hate Trump. And like I said, if you just now came in, if you seen what happened on the last election and he won, it's going to be 100-fold. Now, authorities, they said they have got all of the authorities, which means each state, the attorney general, the governor, individual big cities. If you're living in a little bitty town, you probably won't see nothing. But these big cities, all the authorities are on high alert for violence. They have even had election workers that are being confronted, attacked. They're having people at the polls attacked. This happened Friday and yesterday. They expect it to grow worse as tomorrow. They are also faced with threats, harassment. Some people are even complaining about being stalked all the way back to their cars. In such a level, the DOJ has formed a special division to investigate these types of threats and what's going on at the polls. A series of intelligence memos reported indicate that officials are bracing for potential chaos, sabotage, insider threats, as well as possible bombings, attacks on voting infrastructure. A political science think tank out of Sweden, and I don't like when they do this, but yeah, they said evaluating what is going on in our country and around the world, that it's relatively high likelihood of total electoral violence and a possible martial law.
I think we could see martial law in some of the larger cities. I think if it's declared, it's likely to be declared by a governor
Tucson seems okay. I'm gonna put what if you think your cities are okay, folks, jump in and let me know. Now I think mine's okay. Well, I'm in a red state, and Sarah Huckabee beefed up our police department tenfold. Now we might have a little bit of problem down in Little Rock, North Little Rock, but for the most part, I'm in a red state, so I'm not real worried. I'm worried about my family out in California, Sacramento, Stockton, LA, San Diego. It's not going to be pretty, folks. When these migrants find out they have to leave, if Trump gets in office, if they find out they have to leave, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos. Now, I kid around with my family. I says, it's going to be like Cheech and Chong. Remember Cheech and Chong, William, where they'd come in and load up on the buses and they, hey, we got a wedding to go to. We'll just come back across the border when we're done. No, this is going to be serious. There's going to be some serious gatherings of some of these migrants. And it's the guns. Speaking of guns, DB, here's something I caught on some info. I can't remember what article it was. The squad, AOC, T-Lib, and Omar or Oman or whatever her name is, they are wanting a list. If they get in office, if they make Kamala Harris gets in, they want a list by the feds of anybody that has over 5 guns in their homes. Now, William, what'd you say today about addresses?
So, I'm a less trusting type of individual. I'm sure everybody knows that by now. There have been a lot of promotions lately, political promotions, where if you'll answer a question and give them your address, they'll send you a free gift. Nothing's for free. I'm concerned that political lists are being created. So let's say you got something from the Camilla campaign that's not from the campaign itself, by the way, that's from a second party. The conservative side could say, well, they would vote X, right? Mm-hmm. And the same way with Donald Trump from a second party, they would say, well, they would, the liberals would say that conservatives would vote X. Now you're on a list. My concern is that could be happening. Now, that's just me in my vacuum being able to reason for myself. There may be other reasons, but that's my opinion.
Now, the other warning they put out is that the violence will not end November on Election Day and the day after. Many voters in swing states claim they're concerned about violence after the election too, which is now coming to inform the public that the violence will probably be after the election. Around 57%, they said, of top Congress and Senate expect there to be some type of uprising in D.C. alone, and they're bringing in National Guard. They have panic buttons that they've given to all of Congress and all of Senate now for Election Day and at least for 14 working days after. So, William, they're giving them panic buttons in case they're attacked.
Yeah, between election inauguration day, that's when people are just going to be processing through all this, right? Not everybody processes at the same rate, and so if there is violence, you could see rolling violence for a period of time, and that's what they're preparing for.
And now, according to Department of Homeland Security, what they've been able to find out is uh, a nonpartisan group called Property of the People. It claimed election infrastructure remains attractive target for lots of domestic violence uh, and encouraging their extremists to act out. Either party wins. So they're looking for a reason to protest.
There's political parties within the United States that are parts of political parties within the United States that are intractable, okay, that aren't going to wait for their turn at office. They're intractable. It's by their nature. Both sides, it just is what it is. But we also have foreign governments, parts of foreign governments, if not foreign governments, parts of foreign governments that will be intractable as well.
Right.
And will try to influence things in the United States through their agencies.
Now, go ahead.
So we should expect some things. Now, the things we see might just be language, if you will.
Yeah, don't confront these people, folks.
Measure, it's not.
William, hold on, just a second.
Violent.
If you're getting these people in your face, don't submit to them. Just keep your mouth shut, because they're expecting conservatives to rise up and get nasty. Just be calm and just ignore these people. Go ahead, William. Hope I didn't make you lose your spot.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily need to be violent. It can just be language that's incendiary. So to get one portion of the population riled up versus another portion of the population. So just be wary. Every shenanigan that can be tried is likely to be tried. We knew it was going to be chaos up to the elections, and there's going to be some chaos after.
Yeah. Now, the next warning they have is for the Free Gaza protesters. They said if Trump gets in, there's going to be, they are claiming the ballot boxes was nothing. It's going to be worse. Now, if Kamala Harris gets in, the same thing. They said, because then they are at a free for all to go after the Jewish nation. Anybody that's Jew or does not agree with them. So, I mean, there's lots of different groups on this we're looking at.
Well, Trump in the last administration was both pro-Arab and Israeli, trying to get all to cooperate together. So that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be negative impacts if Trump is elected. Now, what Kamala would do, she hasn't actually been president. She's been a vice president. We would see in due course. As far as the Gaza-Israeli contest, we'll call it. Did I lose you?
No, I was reading through some of the stuff real quick. Now they this bulletin also notes that some extremists may seek to launch wars within some of the major cities. They found 5 individuals connected with basically civil war narratives and writing on them, and they were mobilized over the last 8 months out of Mexico. 3 which were arrested for preparing to take violent action plans with gangs within the inner cities. 2 were arrested for making violent threats. Now, in one case, a Pennsylvania man murdered his father because of this. He wanted to save America from traitors, and he thought his father was. So some of these individuals are in Pennsylvania. or they're all over the United States, folks. I mean, if they
want to
only
say
caught,
something.
if they, you know, William, if they only caught 5, there's probably 10 out there, 10 more to
Yeah.
take their place.
I just want to say something. In a political contest, there's no reason to take life, ever. There just isn't. Not in a political contest. Now, if after the political contest, governments do something that's a complete abomination to the population, that's something else. But just the political contest itself, there's no reason to take life.
Yeah.
It's not a political contest anymore if you're taking life.
Well, you know, when we look at when Trump won against Hillary, we've seen the pictures and we laugh at them. The one lady that falls in the street and she's all losing it. I mean, that's a light. That's somebody just sitting down and losing it in the streets. There was some serious protests that night, and they're saying it's going to be 100 times worse. My suggestions, folks, if just stay home. Uh, you know, election night and the night after. And I would even that the following weekend, next weekend, because this is when they're going to uprise. And if we're just looking at the protesters and this, the college students, William, I think they're going to throw bricks. They're going to throw Molotovs at the police that are blocking them wherever they want to go. I think we're going to see the same thing. But the worry is getting some of these extremists in these riots, because they'll rile them up.
The biggest way you can keep yourself safe is don't go places where there's enhanced danger.
Yeah.
So, right.
William, see, I grew up with the riots out in California. I mean, it's not really the same, but it kind of is, because you could see how they get built up real quick. And all it takes is 4 or 5 saying, hey, let's go do this. And the rest of the crowd will follow. Now, get this, during the riots in the 70s, the high school, it was a high school that just Highlands High. And it was African Americans. It was, you know, the whole Martin Luther King thing was happening. They decided, 5 of them decided, hey, let's go to the elementary school and hurt kindergartners. And they yelled it. And you know what? The whole crowd was willing to go do it. Kindergartners, these are high school guys.
People will do in a crowd under heightened emotions what they would never do rationally in their lives in any other situation. So if you think that you need to go out and be part of a protest, be aware of that so that you can exit quickly if violence begins. But I would suggest just don't in the first place, because
and I hope they don't take the guns.
People like that with raised emotions, you don't want to get stuck with being responsible for what other people are doing without your consent. You don't want the law coming after you, so just avoid it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. There's nothing to be gained.
Do you want to add anything else? Now, all of these reports, folks, it's not, I just didn't go get this and get just this info. It went out this morning to MSN is reporting it, Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and there is it's a intelligence bulletin is what they're calling it. CBS has reported on it this morning. So it's not just me being on a heightened alert and wanting to warn everybody.
The government has to plan for the worst. You can expect something less than the worst, hopefully, 9 out of 10 times.
Mary just got in and she says, "What's up?" Well, there was an FBI and DHS intelligence bulletin that's come out of a warning of civil unrest by multiple extremist groups around the country on election night, whether who makes it, either party. So We just went over the whole thing. You might have to rewatch because we went over kind of all the different groups of what they would do on reaction to either candidate becoming president. Because it's both. It's both.
Sure.
And the college students, just give them a reason to riot, and they'll do it and protest. Yeah, there is a notice. Mary, it went out. Like I said, MSN had it, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, CBS, NBC. I don't know if Fox said anything about it yet. But, how many have we seen this week? What was it? Sean Ryan, is that his name? He's put out a warning. Bannon's put out a warning. Glenn Beck's put out a warning. Dan Bongino's put out the warning. Everybody is warning that something's going to happen. Oh, you didn't get our notice we were on. It was kind of impromptu today. I didn't expect, but William called me up and I said, okay, let me pull myself together and we'll see what I can do. So,
well, between the memo that's come out of warning and behaviors we've seen online, there's some credence to this thing. So place yourself in places where you have maximum security. Do your grocery shopping if you can towards midday, when people are less likely to be doing what they do when they're frustrated.
Yeah. One last thing. This is just so odd. The greatest risk of election violence comes from extremists who believe the conspiracies. They said it tends to be tends to be one-sided. They don't want to blame nobody. This cracks me up. Without widespread election fraud, or who have other election-related grievances, like those focused on a candidate or a party. This is what the Bulletin states. And it refers to, they call it DVE, domestic violence extremist. And these are individuals that have, we've seen Trump being attempted assassination over the last, month? And they said there are these extremists, and someone will come out of it and cause even issues at supermarkets, gas stations, public places, churches. So just be very careful, is the other warning they gave.
I think what they really want us to be is vigilant and prudent.
Yeah. They said a lot of these extremist groups, their narrative is to cause an impending civil war. And they're not, they're just saying these extremist groups. They've said, militia groups. They've said the right and the left. They even have Green Party issues that some of them have come out in groups. And me and Williams mentioned all the above of.
I'd like to say something, Ellie.
Okay.
If you think that a civil war would be a good thing, think again.
Mm-mm.
Our society is so well mechanized now, it would always be a losing proposition for everybody involved.
Like when we do the World War III, we kind of speculate on some stuff, or we put out a lot of truth. So, but William, since you mentioned that, what good would it be? Because if it's the, let's say, the left, the Democrats and their extremist groups, or any of these extremist groups, and they join up with them, well, the government is going to have to send National Guard and possibly our military to go after, like what they're going.
It could only possibly benefit powers outside the United States. Nobody within the United States that lives within the United States, functions with the United States, can benefit from such a thing.
Yeah. And see, if that's the case, they're not just going to go after a certain amount of people. They're going to go after everybody, William. It's not going to matter. Either way, if it's the left, it's the right, or if it's extremist groups, when it goes all under, they're going to attack people, and they're going to start going street to street. They practiced in Louisiana during Katrina. That's what they were practicing.
Not my major concern. My major concern is if we weaken ourselves from within, we could have blind actors assail us from without.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, all governments function on balance of power, not total power, not minimum power, but balance of power with respect to neighbors and those that are not friends and those that are frenemies.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much to start tipping fulcrums, and you don't really know which side of the teeter-totter you're going to end up on when that happens. Just be if you thought about getting involved in something like that, you should really think again, because you cannot predict the outcome.
Yeah, and just to add this in, I know somebody here that they got a friend out in California, and I don't know this person, but that said she had to lock her son down because her son wanted, and this out of Sacramento, wanted to go burn up ballot boxes for fun. He don't care about the election. He just wanted to go burn up a ballot box.
Well, there's teenagers, we're going to have that kind of thing.
That's yeah. And I want to get rid of the ballot boxes. I really do. And even Dominion even put out another report that they're having issues still because the amount of articles that are put into the ballots that on this election, that they're trying to, I guess, split it into two parts, and so they're having issues. So if your machine don't run right, folks, if your machine isn't running right, you're going to go and use the Dominion machines. Not all of them are, but if it doesn't look right,
going to trust the election machines this time around.
Yeah,
that whole discussion's been worked out in the last 4 years. They're all going to be, all those machines are going to be drug in and checked over for the courts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and do you remember on the last time Trump was in, they were having they were blocking. They have so many Democrats, so many Republicans that come in, and they watch the ballots and watch what everybody's doing. And you can go and apply and get in and help folks if you want to do this, but you got to be way in advance. And they make sure the count's right. They make sure they pull the cards out of the machines right. They make sure the tally's right. They recheck the votes. Well, during the last one with Trump, they weren't letting conservatives in. They were actually, some they even locked outside the buildings. Remember, they closed down, what was it, at 11 o'clock? They closed the polls?
It was 10 o'clock my time. I don't know what the rest of the time was in the country, but it was suspicious.
It'd be midnight my time. I remember they closed it all down. I was like, what? I was ready to go all night with you guys. But now this time though, what they're saying, and I called the Capitol here and talked to Sarah Huckabee's office and asked, because she went around to make sure this was being done and also getting dead voters off the rolls. And what I found out from her office a couple weeks ago was that they have been very even now this time. And in some places we're even planning on National Guard as a standby, just in case. But so it sounds like it's going to be different, William. I don't know. We just don't know. The majority of Democrats vote on election night. So don't get happy sappy on the numbers right now. My numbers, boy, William, you ought to hear my numbers. My numbers is,
I'm sorry.
Get this, William. because I do my own little polls. I go to the place where they got all the polls, and my polls say that Trump's at 61%
right now.
right now.
Yeah.
Well, they're claiming 53 with the point system. So add the 3 points. So if he's at 51 to 53, he's at 56, 57% on winning. And that's even in the key states that we're watching. So anyway, William, I want to go ahead and cut this because we do have a big show tomorrow.
Sure.
Me and William will be here on election night.
Yeah, she's got me rounded up.
I might have to send some dog food your way, and dog food my way. My dogs get real antsy outside my door. I lock them out. They don't get to be in here with me.
Evil telephones and computers.
Oh yeah. Well, with my Scotty, he used to just sit in here, and he'd want to. If we left anywhere, I'd leave one of my shows on, and he'd sit in here and sleep because he could hear my voice. And I would just put it on my channel and let it go, and he'd be listening to me for hours. So anyway, but we are going to go. And William, I thank you for calling me and jumping in impromptu today. And we will be back tomorrow in time for to do the world news and maybe have even more news. Well, just be careful out there. They're even saying tomorrow, because there are people attacking others at the polls at this point.
If something major happens between now and then, of course, we'll jump on as well.
That's right. That's right. Okay, folks, we will see you tomorrow, and share, and hit that like button and follow us on Facebook. But share this because everybody needs to know the FBI and DHS has put out a huge warning, intelligence bulletin that is warning everybody to be very leery of your surroundings over this next week. All right, folks. All right, William, thanks a lot. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you, William.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.